brand new venue, 40 kilometers outside of Moscow's ring roads. World Series by Renault is the inaugural event at the new Moscow Raceway. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to a brand new racing facility. Just an hour or so drive outside of Moscow, and a brand new venue for World Series by Renault, and a brand new facility for motor racing generally, and especially in Russia. This Moscow Raceway is a short, tight 4-kilometer circuit, and is going to be quite testing for the drivers after fairly mixed conditions in training, in practice. It's going to be difficult for them to have got the cars set up properly and to try and find somewhere, especially for overtaking. But the one thing that this circuit definitely does have is good access facilities and a big crowd. Well, hello, I'm Martin Haven, sitting alongside me, Tom Gaymore, looking back at highlights of the last couple of races from the Nürburgring. Race 1 starting in dry conditions, and Tom, of course, a classic track on which we've seen so many good overtaking battles. Little bit difficult, though, in dry conditions with these cars to actually make a pass, and so the man who led it all the way, Jules Bianchi.
Yeah, it was a story of two tales, wasn't it? The race on the Saturday was dominated by this man, and really he did dominate. And then on Sunday we saw this incredible race where it started in dry conditions. It rained pretty much straight away. Some of the guys made 3 pit stops, didn't they?
Yeah, it was who blinked last, really. Kevin Magnussen, you saw there, making a pit stop early on. That proved to be a disappointing choice for him. There were some great performances by some little heralded stars, Marco Sorensen. And in the end, the man who judged the weather best was Nick Yellerly, who retired from Saturday's race because he was so ill, came through the rain to win on Sunday. Robin Freins, the championship leader, tied with Sam Bird, who Freins started on pole position, but didn't get the best of the weather. Nick Yellerly lying third in the points, just 10 points cover the top 3. Marco Sorensen also looking strong, but Jules Bianchi, after winning on Saturday, had a horrendous time there on Sunday. Well, here is this new Moscow Raceway. Unusual, Tom, in being anti-clockwise. You look at the map and you think, oh yeah, that's going to be good. Down the front straight into a more than 90-degree right-hander and then a long straight, but in fact that's the end of the lap. It is quite narrow. It's absolutely brand new, as in not quite finished yet, but the circuit, well, it's going to be interesting to see how they manage to facilitate overtaking here. It's obviously very green indeed.
Yeah, if you talk to some of the drivers, that is the general consensus, that the track is fairly short at 4 kilometers long. It is narrow in parts. It's fairly quick at the beginning of the lap, we see there, but the rest of it's a bit stop-start. But they like it. It's nice to drive. In terms of overtaking, might be tough during the race, but it's never ever been raced on, so that is just hearsay at this moment in time, and it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. They've had a bit of a baptism of fire, haven't they? It's been a little bit of a rush at times, and the local the track owners and World Series by Renault have done an incredible job to battle through some of the teething problems that you get with these new venues, and a large power cut and adverse weather yesterday. They've had a huge storm which caused a few problems with some of the unfinished grandstands, and a power cut and all kinds of different things. Not to mention a few stray dogs on the circuit.
Yeah, a few stray dogs. Their times were disallowed, though. They didn't use the approved route. You saw Robin Freins there, the young Dutchman, who is sitting on pole position, and that's his 2nd pole of the season. So Freins, who claimed pole for race 2 at the Nürburgring, also on pole position here. Now, he's hit he had decent form in Motorland Aragon, 3rd in race 1, won race 2, and then Monaco, not so good, started 5th, retired.
But never been there.
He was on the podium in Spa in race 2, and he was on the podium in race 1 last time.
On the grid is Vitaly Petrov. First of all, welcome. You're a little bit dirty. You've just had experience of this new circuit. What's your first impression?
I think it's not bad track, you know, because quite a long time ago we don't have a real proper racing track, but looks like here this is finally we have it here. and it's good track. I think quite technical. A lot of slow pit corners, one long straight to overtake, and I think we need just more run to clean the track a little bit, because you can see it's still a little bit dusty. And when I have my run in F1, it was quite difficult to warm up the front tire.
Now, how important is it for you and for Russia to have a world-class racing circuit now?
I think it's very, very and super important for us, because a long time we didn't see in Russia the proper racing cars like World Series, and now we have F1. I hope 2014 it will be F1 in Sochi. But yeah, but I think this is the great moment for Russia, and you can see it's a lot of people. I didn't expect it will be so much, and if you're going around, the old tribune is completely full. So, like you see in Russia, they like motorsport.
They like it very much, and this grid is particularly strong at the moment. What's your feeling about the Formula Renault 3.5 series? Because they all want to do your job. They all want to be Formula One drivers.
If you look on the championship, I think it's quite exciting race they have this season so far. And yeah, Bianchi, then Peak and a lot of drivers, they're fighting quite strong. And here, I think it will be a good battle, because they don't know the track, they don't know the tire degradation. So I think it will be quite interesting battle between them, between even first two guys.
And finally, before we let you go, can you give us one message to all the Russian fans around the world watching about this new race?
Russian or English?
In Russian.
In Russian? Спасибо, что приходите, болеете за меня в целости и за российских гонщиков. Вообще спасибо за то, что вы есть. Приходите на гонку. Сейчас у нас наконец-то появилась полноценная трасса, на которую можно прийти. Замечательные трибуны. Посмотрите, сколько зрителей пришло поболеть. Так что мы вас всех приглашаем, и я надеюсь, что увижу вас на Гран-при Германии в следующие выходные. Спасибо.
Vitaly, thank you very much. I'll see you again later. Now, this man who's just pulled in to our left here is the pole sitter. Now, not only has he managed to put the car on pole at Moscow Raceway for the first time, he's also got a unique gift. By being championship leader in Nürburgring, he was given a prize, a chance to drive the Red Bull Racing Renault car. Robin, you've just stepped out of the Red Bull Racing Renault for the first time. Your impressions?
Well, my impression is a bigger step than I expected. The grip level, the acceleration is so much more powerful, the car, and the de-acceleration and braking. It's just, you can't imagine that, but it's just awesome to drive. The sound, everything just fits.
Well, a great opportunity for young Robin Freins to drive the RB6 with which Sebastian Vettel won the 2010 World Championship. And Freins again with a great opportunity here, sitting on pole position for Fortec Motorsport and really having a good strong run this season. Now, of course, he is a rookie, last year's European Euro Cup Formula Renault champion rather, so he's not new to the paddock but new to these cars, and actually really showing an awful lot of talent and composure.
Yeah, he's the real deal. He's got no fear, has he? He just gets it done and doing a great job. He turns up and he learns the tracks quickly. He's got a great understanding of the car and its capabilities, and he's one of these rookies. And this is the other guy that I've talked about in the last show and with you before we went on air. Marco Sorensen doing a great job.
Here on the grid,
Ricciardo.
Also, you will get a chance to drive your Red Bull racing car around here as well. Daniel Ricciardo, this time last year you were racing in this series. How big a step is it up to Formula One?
It's a step, it is, you can't compare much to Formula One, but, the cars are getting better these days, and you tend, there are some good paths towards Formula One, and definitely this is one of them, and even the car this year is quicker, it's more competitive, so, I don't expect the drivers, I would expect the drivers, the top drivers here to get in a Formula One car and to not be ridiculously slow, put it that way. They'd get the gist of it, and I think they'd be quick, you know, in not too long a time. You know, a lot of them have, or a few of them have F1 experience already with Bird and Bianchi, a few of these guys, so, and they've been quick in their tests, so, yeah, it is another step, but, you know, it's not impossible.
And this year, the competition is super competitive. Like the top the front 3 rows, basically, everyone's had one victory apart from Arthur, who's had a podium. It's super tight this year. Who do you think could come out winner at the end of the season?
Yeah, it's actually very, very tight, and you know, it does look, you know, super competitive, and it's which is good. You know, it's what you want. You want close racing, and it makes me want to get in here and try and mix it with them, because you know, it's good when it's so close and the racing's tight and every point matters, every position matters. So, you know, I think there's been, I couldn't say anyone, to be honest. You know, there's been a lot of quick guys. I think Bird and Bianchi will probably have the best consistency out of a few guys due to, you know, their experience, and I think they'll probably keep a cooler head than maybe the younger kids towards the end of the season, but yeah, you know, not to count out the quick young ones. I mean, Robin's been doing a great job in his first season, so he's on pole again today, so yeah, we'll see what happens.
Daniel, great to see you, and enjoy the race.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Daniel Ricciardo, like a number of F1 drivers, former World Series driver in the Formula Renault 3.5, and Vitaly Petrov, obviously a massive part of making motorsport internationally known in Russia, or making international motorsport known in Russia, particularly Formula One, Russia's first ever Formula One driver. And there are 4 Russians on the grid as well in this championship, Tom, so there is an awful lot of local interest, including a former Formula Renault 3.5 champion, Mikhail Lishin, and in fact 3 of them are Muscovites as well. So it's not just there in Russia. You know, this is the closest racetrack to their home by 10,000 miles, probably.
It's a dream come true. I mean, Vitaly Petrov, when he first started, probably wouldn't have thought he'd be standing on a grid in a Formula One uniform with cars like this, you know, an hour away from his homeland. And you know, for these local guys to have a race in Moscow, those Brits that have raced at Silverstone or Donington or Brands, you know, it's hugely important.
It's the most important to get good start, and nobody knows how big is possibility of overtaking, but we hope on the last straight is possible. Let's see, good start is the key.
And quickly, what feedback are you getting from the drivers and the data about this new circuit?
Yeah, it's quite challenging. You know, it's okay. It's still dirty, but we expect everybody, but it's okay.
Thank you, good luck.
Well, that was Igor Salaquada, who's the boss of ISR. ISR stands for Igor Salaquada Racing. His son Philippe was a single-seater ace 2 or 3 years ago, and that's why the team got started. And of course, like all these things, well, like Arden, that was started by Christian Horner to run himself because it was cheaper than paying somebody else to make a profit running him. These things sort of take on a life of their own, and Arden has become a fairly major player in international single-seater racing. ISR dedicated to staying on this grid in World Series Formula Renault 3.5. Looking a little further down the order, you can see the drivers are there. They're sat on the grid. Some have got helmets off. Some are just kind of chilling and relaxing in the last couple of minutes before the formation lap. And that's the view from Marco Sorensen, this young Lotus driver. Antonio Felix da Costa, good qualifying for him. He lines up in 7th place on the grid. For Arden Caterham, teammate Alexander Rossi in 11th spot. And Antonio, that is Jaime Alguersuari's dad, Jaime Senior there, offering his best wishes and congratulations. And Antonio Felix da Costa, one of 2 racing brothers. Brother Duarte is 4 or 5 years older.
I tell you what, Felix has really impressed me coming into this car at a late stage. You know, we're mid-season and he's been doing a good job in GP3. Trevor Carlin played a bit of a part in his promotion to the Red Bull scheme once Lewis Williamson was unceremoniously dropped, but Antonio Felix da Costa has not looked back, and you know, he's outpaced his very, very favoured teammate Alexander Rossi. You know, Alexander Rossi comes very highly recommended and is on the F1 driver roster already with Caterham, and no mean feat. But this is an interesting one. Kevin Courjus, somebody who was incredibly quick last year and did almost what Robin Freins has done, came from Euro Cup and set the world alight with 3 wins, and then dropped off at the end of the year, and really with the new car hasn't found his feet at all, has he?
No, I mean, he came in with a real bang, didn't he? And, you know, right from the beginning in Motorland Aragon, we thought, oh, right, OK, this could be very entertaining, or a total whitewash. But as you say, yeah, he's just kind of... almost, it's facetious to say it was beginner's luck, and but whatever it was, just sort of filtered away, and then he started to run into problems, and it just didn't happen for him.
It's an interesting point, because I was with Alexander Rossi last week, and we were talking about, you know, the various reasons and the differences between this year's car and last year's car, and he said that the hardest thing to get your head around is trying to ignore what the car felt like last year. If you try and achieve the feeling that you got out of last year's car, then you're going to be slow. It's a different car this year. It's different to drive. It has different characteristics, and it's about trying to forget what you've learned already, which is quite difficult to do when you've got it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that it's got the same name is it's a distraction almost, because the car is so completely different. It might as well be called, you know, GP4 or Formula Renault 4 Litre or something, because it's just completely different. Right, there is Alexander Rossi, one of the 2 Americans on the grid. We'll take a quick pause and be back with more action in just a moment. Well, welcome back live to Moscow Raceway. Looking here at Kevin Magnussen, disappointing 13th on the grid in his Carlin car. And bright sunny conditions. It's been pretty stormy and tempestuous over the last couple of days. Some high winds, plenty of rain has fallen around the Moscow region. We're just a little bit to the west-northwest of Moscow, around 40 kilometres outside the ring road, well, more than that, maybe 60 kilometres, 40 miles or so, in a fairly heavily forested, wooded, hilly, lakey area, very picturesque countryside. The brand new Moscow Raceway. In fact, its official inauguration is July the 15th, which will be tomorrow, Sunday, for the second race of the weekend for World Series by Renault. But World Series here for the very first time in Russia, and opening this circuit, which is just, well, a little bit like Silverstone when work was going on the wing for the last couple of years before it was completely finished. Partly racetrack, partly still building site, but, you know, everybody that makes upgrades, everybody's familiar with that. Daniil Merv here, one of 4 Russian drivers on the grid. And again, you know, there's barely a seat in the place, Tom Gaymore. It's absolutely packed. So, you know, good train services out from Moscow have certainly helped there, but the fans have flooded here in their tens of thousands.
Yeah, good promotion, but primarily good interest. You know, the most important thing here is the fans are interested to come and see these Renault Super Weekends here in Moscow. So that's a great bonus for the future, and it just shows how popular motorsport is in Russia, and with the Russian drivers on the grid. You know, it's great to see, and it's the trend of the Renault Super Weekends. You know, I can say no bad thing about this weekend. They truly put on a show. They have a great spectacle in terms of the Formula 1 cars and the World Series by Renault cars, all the way down to the Euro Cup cars. Great racing, the Megans, and it's a real day out, a weekend out for the family. You know, the problem is we're slightly delayed here, Martin. We're getting news that we are experiencing a power cut.
Yeah, there's been a number of power outages over the last couple of days, and you think, okay, well, you know, the car's on the track, it's not affecting the track. What it does affect, unfortunately, is the timing and scoring system, which means that cars go round and round and round, but actually we can't officially track them. And obviously, the half dozen timing and scoring people upstairs, if they were, you know, looking out the window with stopwatches and bits of paper, they could time it in the old-fashioned way. It's not that they don't know how. The problem is that they weren't prepared to come and do it that way. They were prepared to use the transponders and everything else. But the other thing, of course, that won't work is the closed circuit to TV cameras. Possibly they might have gone down as well, and that's a very major safety issue. So, you know, these cars are not small, they're not slow. They are very big, very fast cars, and you don't want to start anything without all of the safety precautions being in place. So that's the reason that we're sitting with the cars on the grid and a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, you can't take the risk. Start will be delayed for technical reasons. What happened, or my understanding of what happened yesterday, which is when all of this started to sort of unfold, was I think someone drilled through quite a substantially large cable.
We've all been there.
And
we have all been there, haven't we? So hopefully we will start at 1:30, which will be 9:30 GMT, 10:30 UK. Well, I think that's sort of moved past us a little bit, so maybe another 5 minutes. So we expect hopefully to get away at around 1:45 local time here in Moscow, which is 11:45 Central European time. Of course, it's one of 2 races happening in the Moscow region this weekend. There is actually a race on the street circuit in Moscow City this weekend as well. So for Russian race fans, after years of watching it on the telly, suddenly they are spoiled for choice. Got a chance to go to either a natural traditional racetrack like this or in the heart of the city itself. And depending on whether you want to spend your own money or come free to World Series, perhaps, I think looks like the fans may have voted with their feet. We'll take another quick pause. Be back with you in just a second. So welcome back, joining us here at Moscow Raceway for the first of 2 World Series by Renault Formula Renault 3.5 races this weekend. Robin Frijns, the man sitting on pole position, has been for a while. A little bit of delay for the start of the race because of technical problems with the power supply. But let's have a look at the grid. 2 rookies on the front row, Robin Frijns and Marco Sorensen, ahead of Ferrari young protege Jules Bianchi and Arthur Pic, so an all-French row 2. Arthur Pic, of course, the younger brother of Charles. Sam Bird lies 5th for ISR, ahead of Nico Müller, the best of the Draco qualifiers, in 6th position. The qualifying session yesterday, really their first chance to learn about this track in dry conditions. Antonio Felix da Costa, who made his debut last time out at Nürburgring, is 7th, ahead of America's Jake Rosenzweig, the second of the ISR drivers. So they have both their drivers in the top 8. Kevin Corjus for Tech 1 and Lucas Foresti in the second of the Dams cars. Arthur Pic is 4th, Lucas Foresti in 10th place on the grid. Alexander Rossi just outside the 10 in 11th place with Carlos Huertas alongside him. Huertas, like Foresti, ex-British Formula 3 racer. And Kevin Magnussen, runner-up in last year's British Formula 3 Championship. The Dane lies 13th, in stark contrast to his pole position last time out, 2 poles, 2 times ago actually, out at Spa. Ahead of Daniel Move, the top Russian on the grid, Andrei Negrau and Walter Grummuller, ahead of Cesar Ramos, who made his appearance for Lotus for the first time last time out at the Nürburgring. And behind him, Nick Yellerly, struggling a little bit in qualifying, just 19th on the grid. Mikhail Alishin in 22nd, heads a group of Russians. Rookie Sergei Sirotkin, just 16 years old, this kid, and a real name to conjure with. He is definitely going to go a long way in the future. Anton Noblitsky, and the Russian quartet at the back, only just split by Will Stevens, who's on the last row of the grid, with Nikolai Martsenko having lost his fastest qualifying time for discrepancies between where he was driving and where the official track actually runs. So I'm assuming that he shot the chicane on the run back up the hill from the bottom of the track, but since we didn't see it, that's just a circumspection. So on 22nd, 23rd on the grid, we've got a former champion, Mikhail Alishin, 26-year-old from Moscow, and we've got a 16-year-old, Sergei Sirotkin. And Alishin, I've got to say, I think his time, his chance to get into Formula One has passed him by. But Sirotkin, massively sponsored by the State Oil Company, and he is a very, very strong candidate indeed. Now, there is a hole on the grid. There is no Cesar Ramos. The row that should have Cesar Ramos in 17th place has not got a car in it. So that's something that we could do with catching up with in the next 5 or 10 minutes. If Neil Cole is down on the grid somewhere, could find out for us. That would be very useful. or maybe even a picture of the car in the pit lane, something like that, Tom Gaymore.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see what's happened to Cesar Ramos. He's in that car for Richie Stanaway and done a pretty good job so far, but being outpaced by his teammate. We're just seeing the onboard camera there, Marco Sorensen. Sorensen, second in German F3 to Stanaway last year, and he's really been, like I said earlier, one of the surprise packages, and has a real chance starting on this front row to head the field into turn one. This race on the Saturday is 44 minutes plus 1 lap. It doesn't have pit stops, so the race into turn one around a track with these characteristics will be important for these guys, because it's going to be tough to pass from then on in. And we see Freins trying to stay cool there. He's got the rad fans blowing in his face, and it's a nightmare for the drivers, because you know they'll be feeding the pressure, and to be stuck in the car now, it's hot there, and the delay, and you know you start to think about all kinds of different things. We're trying to get with
we were hoping to hear from Neil, but somebody needs to wire him up in the truck. And again, you see, now this is the other problem with a televised meeting, is that the truck will have its own generator supply, but not everything will necessarily be connected to that. So repeaters on the grandstands for the pits cameras and stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see exactly what happens. There's an awful lot of fans hoping that the action gets underway fairly quickly, and among them us as well. Just to let you know that following this programme on Eurosport will be highlights of yesterday's stage on the Tour de France from Albertville to La Tuileries. So hopefully we will be able to stay live. You can see Neil down there with his camera, but again, all we got was a static shot. So again, as I said, repeaters on top of the grandstands. It's a wireless camera, so it's bounced off a repeater on the grandstand down to an aerial on the truck. It's the little infrastructure elements like that that might not work.
To find on the grid former Formula One and Champ Car driver Roberto Moreno. First of all, what are you doing here? You've got two purposes this weekend.
Yeah, my first priority is to help Lucas Foresti. I've been coaching him for 2.5 years now, and this is his best qualifying this year, and he's actually upbeat this weekend, and things looking good. And then I got a break to drive a Megane car with the Renault, so I'm very, very happy in the two sides, because the DAMS teams is a very good team for Lucas, and is helping him to perform. And also, after 3 years without driving, I was invited by Renault to do a race here. And those Megane cars are fantastic. The power and grip ratio in those cars are excellent. So I'm having a lot of fun, but because I've been 3 years away, yesterday I came out of the car, almost fainted. But today it was better, and we're looking forward for the race as well.
Now, we have a look at in this car behind us. You say it is best qualifying so far this season. With a delay like this, how does a driver stay focused and concentrated and cool, because it's hot on the grid?
Well, all you have to think is that it's not hot. That's the first thing. And you avoid people that come to you to say it's too hot. So it's all a mental thing, which Lucas is well trained on that. And what I do with Lucas is I teach him a way to handle things himself. I'm not there always for him all the time, but when he needs, I teach him, and he uses all the techniques, and he's coming up very, very quickly. If you look at his career, he's his 3rd year in Europe, and he's already here doing well.
He's doing very well. And your impressions, obviously you've driven the circuit in Euro Cup Megane qualifying. You're going to race it this afternoon. How big a deal do you think it is that we have a world-class circuit in Russia, so close to Moscow?
It's amazing what the work they've done here in such a short time to get this great circuit for us to drive. So I think what they're going to have to worry about is the more rubber on the circuit during the first race, the cars will get better.
Thank you very much. Obrigado. So,
Genius, Roberto Moreno. He was supporting Lucas Foresti. He's a friend of the family from back home in Brazil, supported his career in British F3, and always great to see him And honestly, if you ever get a chance to speak to Roberto Moreno, he will stand and talk there as long as you wish. Charming chap, and really good fun. I'm looking forward to seeing the McGann race now. So as you can hear, engines are running. Our timing and scoring, well, we'll wait and see in a moment whether the computer actually moves at the beginning of lap 1. However, as we have it at the moment, still that gap on the grid. No Cesar Ramos. I'm hoping the TV director will spot if there is a car in the pit lane. Other than that, we have to assume that he will join from the pit lane, or not at all. I mean, that doesn't really get us very much further, does it? But Tom Gaymore, cars finally now off on the parade lap. And Roberto's exactly right, isn't it? You've just got to switch yourself off, not fret about anything. It's not hot, it's not delayed, it's not stress, just an oasis of zen calm.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting listening to what he had to say, actually, in it. You know, when you visit the psychologists, a lot of these guys work with these types of people to get in the right frame of mind and deal with the pressure and the expectation and how to maximize their own performance. And you know, it was funny listening to when he said, you know, it's not hot, avoid people that say it's hot. All these things, sowing the seed of doubt in your mind. You want to avoid that kind of thing, and that's a man talking from experience there, and he'll be definitely relaying the best knowledge. And it was an awkward time though for those guys. You know, it was an awkward time for us in the commentary box, Martin. You're sitting there, all your race preparation, everything that you plan towards all morning's gone out of the window, and human beings don't like change, so you want to know what's happening. It's difficult to stay calm. It's hot. You get uncomfortable. You know, you get nervous. You need the toilet. All these things.
Now you're just talking about yourself, not about me or the drivers.
No. That's what a driver
Give me an indefinite period of time, and I'll just sit and witter about everything, nothing, something. And I feel sorry for the fans at home, frankly, with no knowledge of when I might stop talking nonsense and actually get on with racing. But you're right. I mean, but by the time they get to this stage, you know, that all is second nature, particularly for anybody who's actually raced in the UK, because rain delays are nothing uncommon. There you can see Alain Prost with Patrice Ratti, who's the head of Renault Sport Technology, who was an engineer in the Renault team in Prost glory days with them. And Alain Prost becoming more and more part of this Renault weekend. And Robin Freins, whose father Rob is also a racing driver, races in the Supercar Challenge. So races Porsches for fun. Robin Freins on pole position from Marco Sorensen. Still no indication of if, where, or maybe Cesar Ramos might start. There is definitely a hole on the grid. So cars gradually filling the grid here at Moscow Raceway. The first ever international race is about to get underway here. We are just 40 miles outside of the capital of Russia. Green flag waves. Almost everybody is on the grid. Still no Cesar Ramos. On the left is your poleman, Robin Freins. On the right, Marco Sorensen. Jules Bianchi starts third from Artur Pick and Sam Bird. It is a dirty racetrack. There's no advantage to being online or offline. Short run into the first corner, and the Dams car of Artur Pick lost out there to Sam Bird, who's trying to go around the outside of Bianchi because he's held up by Sorensen. And Bird stays on in fourth place, but Pick is right behind him trying to attack. And then a good start, I think. Blimey, is that Da Costa up to sixth position? Yes, it is. He's got in front of Kevin Courjus, who's in seventh. And Jake Rosenzweig didn't make a great start, I'm afraid.
Yeah, great start by the poleman. Freins, the lights were off as quickly as they were on, and that fooled a few guys. Sandberg, great start, very aggressive with Bianchi, tried to go around the outside. Bianchi wasn't going to fall for that. Sorensen slotted in behind Freins. So the loser there were Artur Pick, and now he's going to have Costa, who's got Courjus all over the back of him. And this is going to be the exciting bit, Martin. You know, it's the first time for any of these guys racing this close to one another around the circuit that's new to them. Can they pass, and where are they going to pass?
Well, that's a very good question, Tom. And this is one thing, of course, when you come to a brand new circuit, you spend your entire free practice and then qualifying just on your own with one lap and not worrying about anything else. The moment race one starts, suddenly you've got to work out where you can and can't overtake. And you might think, oh, that's very obvious. It's anything but obvious. Your entire concentration for 2 days has been on getting the ultimate single lap. Now you've got 45 minutes to try and bludgeon your way past all the other guys. Sam Bird here in the blue and white car behind the red and black of Jules Bianchi. And for Bird, this could be a very important pass. Now, don't forget, 44 minutes plus a lap in this race. So there's a long time to work. They've got 400 seconds of DRS activation. And Tom, it seems that you can use it pretty much anywhere. Bird's wing is open at the moment as he follows Bianchi. You can just see a little gap between the first and second elements of the wing, opening and closing a fraction. You can see how tight and twisted. This is going to be great for 2-litre Formula Renault, really epic for the Clios and the Megans. But for these cars, it is a little bit like Nelson Piquet used to say, racing around your living room on a bicycle. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, it's almost like Rockingham, Snetterton infield, that kind of characteristic, and it is a bit stop-start. The rear wing, very difficult for you to spot at home because it's not like the DRS that the Formula 1 guys use. It doesn't open as much because what it's actually doing is stalling, and that is Ramos.
Yeah, well, he started from the pit lane, clearly, because he was not on the grid, but whatever ailed him when it came time to go out to the grid clearly hasn't been fixed. That looks to me like a car that has just ground to a halt on the outlap.
Yeah, power cut.
Cesar Ramos has not completed a lap. It is a power cut. Well done, Tom. Hey. Robin Freins leads then from Marco Sorensen and Jules Bianchi. The next Frenchman who may end up in a Ferrari is holding everybody else up.
Well, he's in a Force India at the moment, isn't he? And that is, you know, characteristic of how strong this championship is. Alexander Rossi, Sam Bird, Jules Bianchi. Obviously, you've seen Freins in the RB6 as his prize this morning. There's a lot of Formula 1 guys in and around this championship, and it's pretty exciting to see. I'll just finish my point about the rear wing, so I'm dying to get it out. It stalls the rear wing element, so it's slightly different to the Formula 1 rear wing. You won't see it as vividly open, and it's stalling the airflow over the rear wing. These cars have such grip that they can use it in lots of different areas. I mean, Rossi was even trying to use it. I think Magnussen was using it as well through Pouhon at Spa. I mean, that is how much grip they've got. To have your DRS open through a corner like that is pretty spectacular. They've only got 400 seconds, which is 50 seconds less than they had at the Nürburgring. So they're slowly chopping it down now because they want to bring it into a sort of more tactical play into the race situation.
It is still way too much, though. 400 seconds, you know, it's 8 minutes. 8 minutes! In a 44-minute race, you know, that's a quarter of the race. You can have your DRS open. That is a long time. Sam Bird behind Jules Bianchi. That's the battle for third and fourth. Artur Pick is the yellow and black car in fifth position. And there's a bit of a gap back to Antonio Felix da Costa. And then Kevin Corjus as well. He's sort of a bit on his own.
What's going to be really interesting here, and we heard Vitaly Petrov talk about it before the race started during our power cut, is tyre degradation. Now, the track temperature is quite hot. It's also very, very dirty. The running that we had before today, the rain that we had yesterday evening washed all the rubber away. So sitting in the dirty air here will be quite difficult for Sam because he's going to be working his front tyres slightly more than Jules Bianchi will be. He'll start to generate too much heat in those and build some tyre degradation and excessive wear through that, although look, he's very, very close to Jules now. Also, the rear tyres around here, because of the stop-start nature, will get very, very hot as well. No pit stops in this race, so these experienced drivers, I think, will have a better measure on it than some of the inexperienced drivers. But that said, Freins and Sorensen are checking out at this stage.
Well, here comes Bird. He's in the slipstream. This is the long back straight. I mean, this is practically a drag strip if it was flat and wider. Bird just can't. It's just not long. The other thing is it's uphill. Now, if it was down, if they were going the other way, downhill into a heavy braking area, might give you more of an option to kind of dive out of the slipstream, perhaps, if somebody outbrakes themselves. But it just takes away a little bit of the chance to do that.
Also, what we got used to passing now in Formula One, because the car in front can't have his DRS activated in Formula One. In that scenario, Jules Bianchi was on the DRS, Sam Bird was on the DRS, so it's cancelled out. So we'll see as the race unfolds who has DRS left, who doesn't, will become more of a sitting duck on that straight. But with 8 minutes of DRS, as you said, Martin, to use, it's quite difficult to get that slingshot. And the cars are so efficient now in the braking zones as well. They really do have so much downforce, so much grip, that they're pulling anything up to, you know, 4G in the braking zones, which is, you know, more than a GP2 car pushes, and they're much closer to Formula One. So the braking zone comes a lot shorter then, and it's very, very difficult to get your car that much further up the inside than the one in front.
The real problem on this circuit is that it is relatively narrow, and it is just corner, 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 corner. 19 corners in 4 kilometres, and the straight is about 1 kilometre of that. So that's, I mean, the bottom section of the track is just a 10-corner sequence where it just winds in and out on itself endlessly. Bird goes wide, Bianchi defensive, very defensive up the middle of the road, and of course all of that is slowing them down as well, because like in anything else, the wider, the shallower you make the corner, the faster you can get through it. And if you come on the inside, you make it tighter and more like a hairpin, and so you go through it slower. And because Sam Bird can't get by Bianchi, Bianchi is slowing himself down, slowing Bird down, slowing the country down. No, so the two of them are just getting slower and slower compared to Freins and Sorensen, who are just racing away out front. Fastest lap of the race by the man in second place, 1:26.9 seconds. That's a whole second quicker than the pursuers. And at the start, Freins and Sorensen from the front row, obviously understanding really dramatically how important it was to make a good getaway. Watch the yellow car on the right, and watch how he nearly ends up in a 3-way pile-up there on the inside. Got out Artur Pick of that inside line on the curbs just in time to avoid bouncing himself and Bianchi into the air.
I mean, Jules Bianchi was the slowest away actually the front couple of rows, and it's amazing how he's managed to keep his third spot. I mean, Bird put him under huge amount of pressure going around the outside, but he was really slow away.
And it was because he was brutal with Pick and just went for the curb, and Pick got out of the way, that all three of them weren't taken out. I mean, that was the only reason Bianchi stayed in front, because he gave Pick the most massive chop at that first corner. Bird again towing up behind, and Artur Pick is right with them now. And the group behind, Da Costa, Corjus, Rossi, who we haven't mentioned, up to 8th place, ahead of Foresti, Magnussen and Daniel Mauve.
Yeah, it's Sam, much quicker than Jules Bianchi at this stage in the race, and it's difficult to think that Jules saving tyres, because the other two are really starting to check out now. So Bianchi not comfortable with his environment, but he's driving well within himself. He's not exaggerating any of the problems that he's feeling, so you don't see him inducing a lot of understeer, getting oversteer, because he's going to look after those tyres. It's very mature, sort of. He's got that Formula One head on him now, hasn't he? He is just driving to what's available to him. Doesn't have the minimum speed that Sam has, and Sam now just dropping back, letting his front tyres have a bit of a rest, and he will attack again Jules Bianchi. But it's annoying for Sam, because he's quicker than Jules in this middle sector, which is very, very stop-start. It's the longest sector of the lap, which is predominantly what you see nowadays. But this man is not really under too much pressure at the moment. Sorensen keeping him honest, but that's pretty much it. Very, very fast and doing a very, very good job, isn't he?
Well, Sorensen has again gone quicker last lap round. Sorensen quicker in the first sector, Freins quicker in the second and third sectors of the lap. 1:26.3, he goes fastest of all. Into the ISR garage comes the number 6 machine of Jake Rosenzweig. So the American is out already, and that is not a situation that, whatever it is, they're going to be able to fix quickly. So that looks like another power outage. Here is Antonio Felix da Costa with Kevin Corjus and Alexander Rossi right behind him. And this is as close a battle as the one for third position. This is 6th, 7th and 8th. And just there, Lucas Foresti in the yellow and black Dams car. And Kevin Magnussen not able to stay with them at all. Can't find the pace.
And Corjus, the meat in the sandwich here. So having had the luxury of being able to chase da Costa and try and pass him, he's now got Rossi, da Costa's teammate, on the back of him, and that's really going to give him a few headaches, because you can't really position the car exactly where you'd want in fear of losing that position.
Well, Rossi in the green and yellow Arden Caterham car, and behind him in the Dams car, Foresti, they were a second and 3/4 quicker than the two cars in front of them last time round. Cesar Ramos has finally got out of the car. He's clearly been pressing Control-Alt-Delete for about the last 10 minutes, hasn't he, trying to get the darn thing to start up.
Yeah, reboot.
Do you know what? Yeah, I would just give it a parting kick. It's like nothing. Damn thing. Just so recalcitrant. There's his teammate in second place in the other Lotus car, and the battle for third. Now look at this, Sam Bird dropping off the back of Jules Bianchi, and Artur Pick not close to him. So here's where the action may come. The yellow-nosed Rebel car of Antonio Felix da Costa, black and green of Tech 1 Kevin Corjus, then the Arden Caterham colours of Alexander Rossi, and the yellow and black of Lucas Foresti, and the cameraman running down the pits to see something or other. Again, all these guys now have closed up on each other, and the pace of that group being dictated by the man at the front, so da Costa being just careful. Fastest man on the track now is Robin Freins, our race leader. 125.9 lap for him. Pole position by comparison 124.0, and there is Sarah Abadi, Tech 1 Racing team boss. Jules Bianchi in third place for her, and he is just starting to ease away a little bit. On the last couple of laps he's put 2 or 3 tenths a lap between himself and Sam Bird. So again, the way you set up the car for a long race like this, Tom, has an effect on how it is at the start, through the middle of the race and towards the end, and that can differ from car to car and driver to driver.
Yeah, well, Sam's not a fool. He's had a good attack at Jules Bianchi over the first or initial 10 minutes of this race, and he's not going to sit there and root his front tyres. The problems, the characteristics that I was talking about, he's not going to do that to himself, because he's clever and more intelligent than that. So he's just going to sit back now and find his rhythm and come again, as we see that's Foresti having a look at Rossi, but couldn't get it done, and that's pretty much as close as we've come.
And they've been joined now by Magnussen, haven't they? So at the front of this little group for 5th position, you've got da Costa for 6th, you've got da Costa going away from Corjus, and now Alexander Rossi is backing up the Dams car of Foresti and the blue Carlin car of Kevin Magnussen. So it's sort of ebbing and flowing a little bit, depending on who's had a lunge and who hasn't.
I mean, just to give you an indication of how quick Freins is at this stage in the race, he's running mid to high 25.7 last time round, and da Costa running 27.3. So, you know, there's a couple of seconds in that, and at this stage in the race, this early, Freins with pretty incredible pace. And we saw this from Jules Bianchi, didn't we, in the Saturday race of at the Nürburgring. Got out front and controlled the race.
Well, again, the Nürburgring, you know, in dry conditions is a track on which it's very hard to find an overtake in a high-powered, high-downforce single-seater. So it was, yeah, follow my leader a little bit. And Freins, again, you know, this is why qualifying in any category is so important. If you start at the front, it is a lot more straightforward than it is if you start at the back.
I mean, just listening to the car coming out of the last corner there, no oversteer, the way he picked up the throttle, how early he could pick up the throttle, and how early he was to full throttle without the revs really alternating. So there was no wheel spin there at all. And you know, we talk about Freins doing an incredible job. The engineers behind that car, Richard Dutton, team owner at Fortec, you know, he's got a great team of guys there, and they've consistently been incredibly fast over the last couple of years. Look at what Alexander Rossi did in that Fortec camp last year. And so, you know, British team doing a grand job at the front of this field, and this is a British driver doing a grand job. Sam Bird, obviously joint championship leader.
Was until qualifying. Robin Freins has moved ahead by virtue of grabbing more points for pole position and is leading the race as well.
Do you get I don't think you get a point.
It is. Do you know any more this week?
It's Formula 1. Formula 1.
Oh yes, Formula 1 scoring. You used to, but you don't anymore. So yes, joint championship leaders, but Freins is leading the race. So now, you know, every time they go out in the car, Sam and Robin and Jules Bianchi behind, it is about whether or not you're going to take the championship lead back again. So, you know, we are, what, race weekend number 5 of the season, and it is high pressure from now all the way through to the end.
Yeah, and don't discount Sorensen, because Sorensen would be leading this championship had his car not broken down at Motorland Aragon. He had a handsome lead there in that race in Aragon. It was the second race there, and was cruising towards a 25-point victory, and had his car not kaput, he'd be leading this championship, and he now is grounding results almost at ease, isn't he? You know, Sorensen has been right there with Freins and Birdie and Bianchi over the last couple of race weekends, and he's going to be in this championship fight to the end.
Just looking there at car number 24, last time's winner in the rain at the Nürburgring, Nick Yellerly, sick as a dog, couldn't physically finish the race on Saturday, went out and run it in very tricky conditions on Sunday, and he's now up to 4th in the championship, so he had a really good run as a result of that. And here he is. He's struggling a little bit here, though. 17th. He's behind top Russian Mikhail Alishin. He's got Will Stevens in the blue Carlin car behind him. Anton Noblitsky, Sergei Sirotkin in the first of the 2 BVM target cars. And there's 17, Mikhail Alishin, former champion, of course. Had his best season in World Series Formula Renault 3.5 with Carlin. Really charming guy, actually. And good fun. But again, I do think, you know, he's, what, 25 years old now. I do think he's... The window of opportunity is going to have somebody else climbing in through it, I think, over his shoulders. And definitely Sirotkin, if we don't see him in Formula 1 in 3 or 4 years, I'd be astonished.
Yeah, well, Aleshin's had a lot of bad luck, didn't he? Because he won that championship and moved to GP2, and quickly he broke a bone in his hand, didn't he? And then he, you know, missed a few rounds, and then the money ran out, and then he sat out half the year. Then he came back to World Series by Renault, and it's just been a bit bitty. And this has been his first year of solid racing since 2010, and you know, he's done a solid job. It's worth mentioning this is a new team, and you know, there's a lot to learn. You talk to Alexander Rossi and the Ardham Caterham team and engineers, and how much they're having to learn and how quickly they're having to learn it. This car is very, very technical, and it produces a lot of downforce and quite a bit of drag at certain points as well, because it's not that aero refined. These are quite big wings to give it quite a lot of grip, and it produces a lot of dirty air, and that's why we're seeing it's quite difficult to actually follow the car in front, because of how much dirty air that these cars produce.
Well, the other part of it, of course, is that, as you said, Team RFR, it is a brand new team, effectively. So they've got 2 experienced drivers, because Mikhail Alishin was the champion in 2010, but he also raced 2006, 7 and 8 in the series, and their other driver, Anton Noblitsky, has raced in World Series 3.5 since 2009, so 9, 10, 11, this is his 4th season consecutively. So they've got experience of some of the tracks, and in fact most of the tracks, and a lot of the way the weekend works. What felt like a good car last year, as you say, may not necessarily translate to what feels like a good car this year, but it's a start. And you can see Alishin having a real look at the back of Zoll Amberg. Car number 20 in front of him, the Pons Racing driver. Last year he was in 2-litre Formula Renault, Swiss 2-litre Formula Renault champion in 2010, beg your pardon, last year in GP3, so either way, big step up. And now that Alishin's had that lunge, right behind him, 24, Nick Yellerly, looking to have a stab at him. If you have a go and you don't make the pass, it always costs you on the exit and for the next few corners. So now Nick Yellerly is queuing up behind Alishin to try and get a good run as we ride on board with the Russian.
It's an interesting one, because obviously Nick needs to start to try and make a position or 2 if he's to get some good points out of this first race of the weekend, and you know, that just shows how difficult it actually is to get close to the car in front. You know, he is struggling to you know, to put anything on Aleshin, and we go back to the lead battle now. Sorensen just starting to drop off the back. Now, just being told about a drive-through penalty for Anton Noblitsky, Article 31.3 of the sporting regs. Not quite sure what that is, but Anton Noblitsky has received a drive-through. We've lost Cesar Ramos, who didn't start and then didn't complete a lap. Jake Rosenzweig was parked. Jan Kuhner
has also been into the pits for something, not quite sure what, in his Pons car. And notification on the timing screens of a drive-through for Anton Noblitsky, so that'll take him out of 20th and move up Nikolai Marchenko and Sergei Sorokin. So one Russian moves down the order and two move one spot up it. But again, struggling to see where an overtake is going to come from here at the moment. Maybe when tyres get tired and cars are a bit more fatigued, that might come. That was your race leader, Robin Freins, playing a little fast and loose. And if you look at the track here, you can see a very different colour of the small portion that the cars are running on compared to the rest of it. That's where they're, well, predominantly where there is grip in the corners, and you can see it looks just a little bit lighter and a bit more polished. Anywhere beyond that, you're going to find grip really at a premium. So that may just have been Robin Freins getting a little offline through, I think it was corner 15 uphill, 15, 16.
Jules Bianchi, fastest lap of the race at 1:25.401. So Jules Bianchi now, the car starting to come to him and getting a better feeling with that, and he's obviously comfortable to push, and knowing that with 21 minutes and 55 seconds left of the race, he will have enough tyre wear to survive any attacks that Sam Bird might have on him if it gets to that stage.
Robin Freins leading race 1 here in Moscow. This is the 5th race weekend of Formula Renault 3.5. And Marco Sorensen in 2nd place. Just looking at Kevin Corjus, he's in 7th behind Antonio Felix da Costa. Behind him, Alexander Rossi with the yellow highlights on his green Arden Caterham car. Lucas Foresti and Kevin Magnussen. So that's a sort of gang of 5 that have been in close company. But like all the other battles, they are separating out a bit. All of these guys have just recorded their personal fastest laps of the race, with the exception of Corjus on the last lap round. So the fuel load is burning off.
Well, the track's getting
The track is rubbering in. So, yeah, the car is getting lighter and there's more grip. So we're on an upward spiral at the moment until the tyres really start to go off progressively. Looking there at Nick Yellerly with the Carlin car at the inside. Oh, and he's been dive-bombed by Will Stevens. Will Stevens making good progress from, he's just gone up to 18th place, 17th place ahead of Nick Yellerly. Will Stevens, don't forget, started on the last row of the grid, and Noblitsky has come in for his drive-through penalty.
Well, he served that up the corner before. You saw him get on the power earlier, run wide on the throttle to dive bomb him into the preceding left. And it was interesting to see what was on the track on the exit. It looked as though they touched and bits of carbon fibre had come up, but it was white. Neither of those cars really have any white aero mods on the side of their car.
Just been muck from off the curbs, possibly.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that. Look, Sorensen now back on to the back of Robin Freins. So,
and what's in front of them? Anton Noblitsky, freshly out of the pit lane. Now, he hasn't changed tyres or anything. It was just a drive-through, so he shouldn't be going a lot slower, but actually he is 2 seconds a lap slower, so they will catch him. He's not going to suddenly find speed. And Sorensen, well, it was 0.8 of a second at the line last time round. I'm saying that's much more like half a second. Sorensen feeling the car a lot more comfortable under him now, perhaps, and is ready to have another go at Robin Freins, maybe, for the lead of this race.
Yeah, well, Freins is just understanding where he is in terms of pace and balance. He had a bit of an oversteer moment there. He was pretty aggressive into that corner there. He just saw the rear of the car and move, and you really don't want to be struggling in terms of the rear tyres. It's one thing overheating the front tyres and struggling with a bit of understeer around here, but you need traction. If you overheat those rear tyres, then you will become a sitting duck. How much of a I use that term sitting duck. How that's going to affect you, I don't know, because as we've seen, catching and passing's two different things around here. It is difficult to pass, but Sorensen looking very racy, isn't he? And do we finally have a race on our hands? This will be exciting to see this. And where's Anton Noblitsky? Can't see him yet. That's the corner that Will Stevens just put a move on Yellerly, and Sorensen just having a look and seeing if he could do the same thing if he was close enough. Wasn't close enough that time round. But Freins is not having to defend yet. Freins, I should say. But if those rear tyres go off, it won't.
Well, I
be
tell
too
you
long.
what, he is going to have to defend shortly because Sorensen is right in the tow up of this straight behind him. So Freins now suddenly has company. 2 laps ago, it was 8/10. A lap ago, it was 3800s. And Sorensen overlaps him and overdoes it, cooks it going round. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Bianchi, where is Sorensen? Bianchi was going straight at where Sorensen was and somehow came out of that unbelievably. There is Sorensen. So Bianchi is now up to second, having just set his personal fastest lap. Bird up to third. Sorensen crosses the line in fourth, but has got no tyres left. And elsewhere, off has gone Nikolai Marchenko. Now, Marchenko was the first of the 2 BVM target drivers, and he has gone off. That's the back chicane, so that is corner 13.
Right on board with Sorensen here. Dirty Line just tries to get on the power too early, and then he just spins it around. Look, he's trying to go one way, then the other. How Bianchi missed him, I do not know, and then he almost gets it going. He's in the anti-stall now, though, so the car won't go. It's just anti-stall mode, and that's why it took him so long to pick up.
Well, now... You know, if you're the stewards looking at that, I had my heart in my mouth then, because Bianchi was going straight for where Sorensen was. You know, that's... Yes, you want a driver to be able to recover, but that was just reckless.
Well, he kept his foot in to not stall the car.
That's what the clutch lever's for.
Yeah, but then, ironically, once he got straight, he then stalled it, and the anti-stall kicked in, and that's why it took him 2-3 goes to get going again, and cost him a further 3 or 4 seconds on that start-finish straight. It was real days of thunder, though, wasn't it, as this is Marchenko.
Running out of talent midway through the corner there, I'm afraid. That was, but we saw Freins there getting just a little out of shape, didn't we, earlier on? So Freins leads from Bianchi. Now, how's this one going to play out? There is Kevin Courjus, who's now up to 6th position.
Past Da Costa.
Past Da Costa. So Da Costa and Rossi are side by side. Now, Sorensen was straight by the time they got there.
Yeah, and look how quickly Courjus has dropped Da Costa. So Da Costa really struggling at this stage in the race, and Rossi will now be looking to do the same thing because Courjus going very quickly.
Yeah, last time round, Courjus at 25.8, his personal best lap. And the fourth fastest lap. Courjus going around the outside to Da Costa, exactly where we've... outside, inside. Da Costa went in shallow and couldn't keep it tight enough. And Courjus set him up for that, made him defend the inside and just carved him up as he ran wide out of the corner.
Yeah, textbook overtaking and Da Costa making a mistake, and that's what exaggerated how he, you know, it looked easy for Courjus, but Courjus bullied him into that mistake and did a great job.
That's the first time since last year that Courjus's evil twin has turned up. This is the right Kevin Courjus. The other one, the imposter, he's been in the car all season long. That's the Courjus that set the world on fire at the beginning of last season.
Yeah, it's just a little bit late in this race, isn't it? Unfortunately, as we look further down the field, this is the battle with Zoll Lamberg, isn't it, with Will Stevens behind him. And then that is Nico Müller now. It would have been interesting to see what happened to Nico Müller. Who's that going slowly on the right hand
grinding to a halt? Is that Huertas? Negrão?
It's a P1 car.
Oh, it's a P1 car. In that case, it's Daniel Move. So that's another Russian out of the fray. Oh, dear. It's not been very good for them here, is it? Zoll Lamberg defending from the blue car of Will Stevens, who looks underneath him and also coincidentally shuts the door on Nico Müller. Come on, Will, have a look down the inside, force him.
And this is interesting because these guys are now struggling with their rear tyres. That's why Da Costa couldn't get into the corner. This is why Will Stevens is quicker out of that corner than Zoll Lamberg was. Okay, Zoll Lamberg on the dirty line, dirties the tyres, doesn't have as much grip on the exit, but I'm pretty sure that these guys are struggling, or some of them are struggling now with rear tyre degradation, and that's what's going to make them slow out the corners, and that is what is going to make, or give us some overtaking, if you like, especially if you've got your DRS.
Well, Will Stevens, so far man of the match for me, started 25th, he's 15th. Okay, you might say that he and the car are probably better than some of the guys that he didn't manage to outpace in qualifying, but as we've seen, you've still got to get by them, and that is not easy here. So
favourite place.
Yay, up the inside, forces the issue, and there's no way to get the door shut, and through comes Zoll Lamberg. And I don't know.
No, that's not Amberg. That's
I don't
Muller.
know if, beg your pardon.
That's the recovering Muller. As someone else has stopped on the left-hand side. Who's that?
I don't know if that's used rubles in the track or some debris somewhere. I didn't see who stopped. If it was in front of them, it may have been their Grau.
Yeah, who else has stopped? Very difficult to see there. Look, Will's favourite place did exactly the same thing a couple of laps ago, and Amberg had to move out of the way. Sadly, lost the place to Muller, and that is just really frustrating for a driver when you show some aggression, and that happens.
Nico Muller being very aggressive there and really sharp with it as well. Picked up 2 spots, and all because the hard work of Will Stevens, who must have been cursing himself because he made it all happen. He's still where he used to be. Oh, OK. Well, that again is Nikolai Martsenko being pulled away. Safety car stand by.
Because we've got a car stopped.
Yes.
That car is...
Safety car is out. No more standby. Here he is, coming out to pick up the leader.
And that is not for... it's for this car.
It's Carlos Huertas. It was Huertas then. OK. Walter Grubmuller has also gone into the pits and stopped. So
quite a few technical issues. And more than we usually see. It's a new car this year, and we have seen some technical gremlins creep in as the races have gone by, but not to this extent. We've seen quite a few failures here, and it'll be interesting to hear from Renault as to whether or not it was similar problems.
Are they running out of pneumatic pressure? Is that possible?
No, the air pressure. Oh yeah, it could be if there's a problem with the compressor or something like that. But it should charge itself when you're traveling. Anything over 7,000 RPM, when you're in neutral, and then if you're moving, it recharges itself.
Well, safety car flags are out around the circuit. And that'll be first time in real life showing the safety car boards and waving the flags for everybody there. There's our race leader, Robin Freins.
And this will be interesting because Bianchi was quick.
Yeah.
And Bianchi's now right up behind Freins.
Well, the Fortec team there, watching as their man leads the race behind the safety car. Robin Freins now has Jules Bianchi not 1.2 seconds behind him, but when the safety car pulls in, he will be right behind him. A chance also to make up some ground maybe for Sam Bird, Artur Pick, Marco Sorensen in 5th, still ahead of the green and black car there of Kevin Corjus. And then Antonio Felix da Costa, Alexander Rossi, Kevin Magnussen, Lucas Foresti. That's your top 10. Will Stevens, of course, in 14th place, will be right up behind Nico Muller. And so there you can see them in the queue will be joining in behind there. And so again, he's got an opportunity to have some more passes perhaps at the restart. Can be very interesting how far Freins is going to have to drop back up this long, hot straight to allow the safety car to be out of the way.
Who's behind Bianchi?
Somebody's pulling over on the right.
Yeah, that's a BVM car, I think.
Is that a BVM or is that a Pons car?
I think it's BVM.
So somebody else has stopped.
But who's in between here? This Pons car?
Now, that might have been... No, that wasn't Noblitsky either, was it?
Yeah, but Bird has a Pons car in front of him. So, who's that?
Well, that's Jan Kuhne, who's been in and out of the pits and is a lap down. So while the safety car is out, although I'm not sure that there is actually a setup for doing this, they ought to wave by the lapped car that is between the top 5.
Yeah, because Sam will find that frustrating.
No kidding.
He doesn't want also to be involved in someone else's accident. It's an unknown, isn't it? Jan Kuhne, not that used to being up front, no disrespect to him. And, you know, Sam here will not be looking for too much risk. He doesn't want to be held up because Artur Pick and Sorensen and Corjus will be very racy into one. He doesn't want another, you know, someone else's accident.
And that is your big problem, is that Kuhne will not be as fast away at the restart as the guys behind him. And Bird is going to be the one who is most likely to suffer because he's the one that's going to be jammed up behind him. And the others will be able to pick and choose which side they're going to try and attack. So was it the other is that another Fortec car? Yes, it is. So that's Huertas' car. We've already seen. No, that was Martsenko. We've already seen Huertas out of the way. And
the safety car was for Huertas' car.
Yeah.
That's
okay. Well, that was for the crane in the gravel trap. Yes. So safety car due to come in this lap. So there is no shuffling of our lapped cars out of the way, which means that Jan Kuehne, there in the dark blue car in front of the blue and white car, number 5, Sam Bird, may hold the key to who finishes on the podium. Now, of course, even if he wants to get out of the way, it doesn't make any difference, because Birdie can't pass him before the line anyway. So Kuehne is just going to have to go hell for leather as if he was trying to win the race.
Yeah, I'm surprised the team haven't told him just to drop to the back. But
well, he can't. Here we go then. We are ready to go green again. Just under 8 minutes remain, plus a final lap. Freins is getting ready to floor it. Bianchi goes. Kuehne in third, and the yellow car of Artur Pick is not half fast enough on the restart. Sam Bird is trying to pass Kuehne already, and at the line he's still behind him, so that is just about safe. Probably through he goes, and Jan Kuehne there in the Pons car just gets back on the line in front of Artur Pick, who's got Marco Sorensen all over him. Sorensen runs out wide. No, somebody else is slowing down.
That's Kuehne.
Was that Kuehne trying to get out of the way? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So Da Costa behind Corjus. Was that the way they were? Yeah, Sorensen, Corjus, Da Costa, then the bright blue car of Magnussen, and Kuehne still trying to stay out of the way. What a horrible position for Jan Kuehne to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Magnussen pass. Yeah, Kuehne's just dropping to the back.
Rossi goes by as well, and Daniel move.
So Freins with a good restart. Bianchi not close enough, but that was because Freins tactically was very clean out of the last corner. Bird got past Kuehne quickly, and that held Peak up in turn 1, which has given Bird some breathing space. So as they were, if you like, and a bit of breathing space, no drama, with 6 minutes and 31 seconds and 1 lap to go in this race.
6 minutes 31 plus. Oh, goodness me, it's all getting very squirrely here. Nick Yellerly on the inside, and ooh, this is the queue with Nico Muller, then Will Stevens, the blue car. 22, Andre Negrau has got around Will Stevens. He did complete the move. Stevens then held off Zol Amberg, who outbrakes himself, and it's 3 wide behind, and around goes. Oh, I don't know. No, it wasn't Daniel Mauve, was it?
No, that was Amberg.
Oh, it's Alician's in there as well.
Mauve ran wide in that gaggle before that, so just as we cut away, Mauve was losing a place, and then obviously that gaggle got into the last corner, and
Sirotkin on the back of that group
spectacularly made a hash of things.
Camera doesn't know where to look next, and he's right, I don't either. Sam Bird we're looking at, and Artur Pick, the yellow car. And Peak just harassing Sam. The leaders have got away. The ISR car does not have the pace on this lap either of Freins and Bianchi, and safety car coming back out again. Do us a favour, we've only just gone green. Now, who is sitting at the side of the track that we have not spotted? Can hear the helicopter overhead, can't see any sign. So the director is now asking all the cameramen to find out where there is a stationary car. At least I hope the director is asking all the cameramen to find out where there is a stationary car and show us why we have got a safety
final
car.
Corner. I reckon there might be something at the final corner, but well, my guess is as good as yours, Martin, and without pictures,
as in we haven't got a Scooby. Yeah, TV's very easy. It's show and tell. Show us, we'll tell you what we're looking at. Don't show us. There you go.
It's almost a red flag, that, isn't it? It's not. It's to say they're yellow, but they don't look very yellow, those lights, do they?
No, I thought that as we saw the white and what was supposed to be yellow. It's very orangey, which is much closer to red than it is to yellow. But you know, sometimes cameras don't show you things the way that they are in real life.
Well, this is it. So this is why.
Okay, so this is Anton Noblitsky.
And that is round at the same place as where Hertas stopped. So
yeah.
Or Huertas. That is
so that's somewhere between
17.
corner 4 and corner 18.
No, it's around 14 to 18, that little final sector there before the back straight. So we've managed to pick that up, and it'd be interesting to see what happened to him, or whether it was a failure or a racing incident.
Safety car back out on track, leading Robin Freins, Jules Bianchi and Sam Bird around. Artur Pick in 4th place. Marco Sorensen, who was second early on before he attacked Robin Freins and lost control of the car in the final corner, will be in 5th place ahead of Kevin Corjus, who's the man who seems to have the speed in the car to match the leader, but he's 5 cars further back. And this second safety car of the race, again for a car that has conked out, it would seem, or been spun and stalled, Anton Noblitsky, who already had to serve a drive-through. And there is Noblitsky's car on the side of the circuit. He's got out and meandered off.
So that is where Huertas. And our car 1, 10 and 22 under investigation. So that is Kevin Magnussen,
Move and Negrão. And that was that 4-car incident where somebody got tagged and 3 of them were all stuck behind it. So that's that final corner run with Will Stevens in that battle.
This is being reported as an incident as well. Noblitsky, that it says safety car on track because of a crash, including many cars. So
many cars?
Many cars.
Well, just the one as far as we can see. Everybody else seems to be going round. But we have lost 2 of our 4 Russians because Nikolai Marchenko is also out. Anton Noblitsky is out and parked. So Robin Freins, I mean, he's coped with restarts and all this stuff before, hasn't he, quite comfortably. And so he'll just be meandering around, go, I'm in the lead, I don't care. Because, you know, at this rate, we're going to run out of time. We've got 2 minutes plus a lap. So the crane isn't going to get to the car in 2 minutes plus a lap.
Yeah, they're obviously short on snatch vehicles, aren't they?
Tom, you place them where you expect people to go off in racing incidents, not where you expect people to just drop it randomly.
Yeah, it's a bit remote around this part of the track, isn't it? Not many buildings, and
well, but yeah, there are barriers and marshals and all of that stuff, so it's not that remote. It is actually, you know, part of the race circuit. It's not like they're 40 miles away.
It's obviously stuck in gear in Noblitsky's car, and that's why they can't move it off.
They can't roll it away, yes.
So that's why they've got the flatbed following the snatch vehicle around the perimeter road.
Now, why do they not have, like Formula 1 cars have had ever since they had no clutches, a button that you press that flicks it into neutral? I mean, that's been mandatory in Formula 1 for years, for exactly that reason, is that cars don't just get jammed in park.
It does have a neutral button, so whether or not Noblitsky's activated it.
Well, again, that's why you get a, what was it, €10,000 fine for not selecting neutral when you're abandoning a car. There's Richard Dutton looking very happy, as you might imagine.
Giving us the thumbs up.
Yeah.
So team owner for Fortec Motorsport, and Fortec Motorsport involved in many different junior formulas with lots of level of success there.
I tell you what, it's been a particularly purple patch for them in the last couple of years.
Spot the snatch vehicle.
Can we fix it? Yeah, I think we can. Lofty's on his way round. I can't see if Scoop and Muck are there to help out, but there you go. 30 seconds. Next time they get to the line, it will be last lap board. And somebody said actually after the Nürburgring, or was it something last weekend maybe, is it about time to introduce the concept of green-white checker so you actually get a racing finish? Yeah, do you know what? I could see that, you know. Make sure that people are fueled up, obviously, because you don't want people fueling up for what they think is going to be 30 laps and then running out on lap 33. But on the other hand,
it's quite a tedious finish how we can have 3 laps of safety car just to remove 1 car off the racetrack. It's not great, to be fair, and everyone will be thinking the same apart from Robin Freins.
Now then, the question is, like Valencia, the white line just as you get off the brakes and roll into the final corner, corner 17, is that the overtaking line, or can you not overtake before the start-finish line, in which case you might have a green flag 400-meter run to the line?
Yeah, it's,
I mean,
I don't think it'll happen, but
no.
Here we go. That's Mauve going wide, and then the gaggle is here. Yeah, that's Noblitsky just taking everyone out.
Yeah, but nothing to answer there, because somebody checks up, somebody in front of you checks up, it's 3 wide. I mean, that was nobody there deliberately made contact with anybody. You know, there's 3 cars following somebody who's hard on the brakes to avoid somebody who's just meandered off the track.
It was Noblitsky that went up the inside there to make it 3 wide, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's because everybody else has stopped.
Yeah, but you know, that you have to do a small bit of a risk assessment when you arrive on a corner as a driver, and if you put yourself in a situation, it's only ever going to end in one result, and that was the result there. So it ended potentially his race and a few others, and he seems to have got in into trouble further around than that.
In former World Series by Renault driver news, I understand that James Walker's wife has gone into labour this morning, so congratulations to the stalker. Great news. So we hope all that goes very well indeed. What's he going to have?
Talking about
a young racing driver of which denomination is he going to have, male or female? Because probably going to be a Liverpool fan as well. So there's pros and cons there.
Is this going to be one lap? Is the safety car going to put its lights out now on this back straight, and we're going to have one lap?
I think that's what they're going to try and intend. Yeah.
Well, it has to turn the lights
we are
off.
Not seeing safety car in this lap yet being notified to the teams. Lofty has done his job, and the car has moved.
Yeah, lights are off, so we're going to have one lap.
Okay, safety car in this lap on our timing screen and on yours as well. Here we go, final lap, dash for the cash.
So, Freins here needs to make a good exit at the final corner onto the start and finish straight. Bianchi will attack him. Bird needs to be careful. Championship points. There's a lot at stake here, and Artur Pick's going to want that final podium position. So this is going to be a good final lap.
Again, Artur Pick in the yellow and black Dams car. Rubbish restart, but behind the other Dams car, Lucas Foresti looking a bit sharp behind Alexander Rossi. So Rossi's going to have to mind his P's and Q's. And Birdie is looking for the pass on Bianchi, and this could be very important as they went green again. Robin Freins tearing off it like a scalded cat. Bianchi again not able to pick up the speed at the restart, and Bird is all over him. Can he make a big pass on the last lap? Don't forget, coming in here, Robin Freins and Sam Bird tied on points ahead of Jules Bianchi. So it could be very, very important.
Yeah, Sam Bird all over the back of Jules Bianchi in the initial stages of this lap, and they've been rivals now for the last couple of years, all the way through their GP2 years and into WSR. It's great to see Artur Pick, not enough tyre temperature and brake temperature into the final corner. So that's an experience thing, and you'd expect Sam and Jules to be on top of it. They were. Artur Pick struggled, and
Alexander Rossi in the green and yellow car having a real look at Kevin Magnussen. No, he's trying to get by Magnussen for 8th position. Behind him, the yellow car is Foresti, Nico Muller, Daniel Mauve has gone. No, he hasn't. Daniel Mauve is still there, despite causing all that pile-up. And Will Stevens behind him in 13th place. Leader coming up the hill for the final time, into the final furlong. I've never said that before. Comes Robin Freins. Fortec Motorsport driver going to win this at a canter. Jules Bianchi in second, safe from Sam Bird in 3rd position. That will be your podium. It did finish under checkered flag. Robin Freins victorious from Jules Bianchi, and Sorensen off in the final corner. Oh my goodness me. Well, if the Dallara department weren't happy before that, they are now. Will Stevens is off, Lucas Foresti is off, Alexander Rossi is off, and so too is the celebration at Fortec.
Yeah, so
wow, Robin Freins, winner in Motorland Aragon. And that is his 2nd career pole, his 2nd of the season. Lucas Foresti, Alexander Rossi, all those guys will not finish. Now, that was all happening in the background, Tom, as I was looking at other things. And they all seem to be out of the cars and in one piece. Magnussen, Rossi, Foresti, all there.
Now, it's interesting to see Rossi walking over to Magnussen, and we've cut away. It'd be interesting to see what he was saying.
Lovely if the director had the wit to show us that last corner incident again. And here we go. Oh, Foresti.
So well, that's why Rossi's gone over to Magnussen, because Rossi thinks Magnussen's clattered into the side of him, but
which he had,
but the reason he'd clattered into the side of Rossi was because obviously Lucas Foresti had run out of talent there and got it very wrong.
Yeah, we saw Alexander walking over to Magnussen. What we didn't see is Magnussen's left arm extending to point over towards Lucas Foresti. Roberto Moreno, whatever Monkey Man has told Lucas, that was not on any agenda that Roberto has ever said. Lucas Foresti on his own there, and probably wisely so. Well, there's Alexander saying, well, what happened? And Magnussen's going, oh, I was there, and then, yeah. And Lucas going, guys, what happened there?
Yeah, exactly. You drove into each other.
See, now, that's where he's knocked somebody. That's where I've knocked you, and you've spilt the big bloke's pint, and the big bloke is remonstrating with you. I'm not coming over to have a chat. I don't know what Lucas Foresti's thinking there. That's twice in 2 minutes where I'm not sure what he was thinking.
Very gentlemanly-like of you, Martin. Yeah. Thank you.
So, rookie Robin Freins claims win number 2 of the season. Very interesting. Sam Bird in third place, Jules Bianchi in second position. So those are our top three in the championship.
And don't forget, it all starts again tomorrow. We have a fresh qualifying.
Yep.
And these guys will work hard tonight and changing the things that they weren't happy with, and they'll go again tomorrow morning and fight for that pole position. And who'd bet against this man? But I know, you know, Sam, for example, set the pace in the collective tests yesterday, and he'll be very keen to try and get one back up on his championship
Of course,
rival.
I said that Bianchi was third in the championship. He's not. He was third in the championship after race one of the Nürburgring. He's fifth in the championship coming in here. So it is Sam Bird, Robin Freins. Nick Yellerly, of course, was in third position in the championship, just 10 points away, and he finishes in 12th position. So that score hasn't changed. Marco Sorensen, who was fourth, finishes in 6 points, so he will score. So Yellerly will slip a fraction behind Sorensen and Bianchi. Both Bianchi might not move up in front of him, but Nick Yellerly very much in the championship frame if he can have another good race tomorrow. And Will Stevens, 25th on the grid to 10th. I'm saying that's quite an enterprising morning's work, or lunchtime's work. Robin Freins, though, is our race winner. And Will Stevens, of course, aided in his move up to 10th by 3 cars removing themselves from the top 10 in the final corner. But nevertheless, you've got to be in that position. So young Robin Freins, 20 years old, from Maastricht in the Netherlands, reigning Formula Renault Euro Cup champion. So this is his second year in the paddock, raced in Formula BMW before that. And son of a racing father, he really does. He's not the sort of big heralded name of Dutch motorsport, but he really could put himself very firmly on the map. Jules Bianchi and Sam Bird complete the podium, and hopefully we'll stay long enough to see them. Arthur Pic in fourth, ahead of Kevin Corjus and Marco Sorensen. Antonio Felix da Costa and Nico Muller then managed to avoid being taken out in the final corners. And unfortunately for Alexander Rossi, a season where the only luck is bad luck seems to have caught up with him again. He and Kevin Magnussen both taken out by Lucas Foresti. Well, let's get down to Neil Cole.
Finish, but you converted your pole to victory. How was it?
It was a really tough race. We had the same pace, the top three, 4 drivers, and I had a big fight with Sorensen. I was really pushing, and I did a mistake. He came by, and it was kind of sad that he spun, but we didn't touch whatsoever. He just went offline and he spun. But a bit of a shame, because championship-wisely, if he was in a second, it was better for me. But okay, it happened. But anyway, it was 2 safety cars, because I had a good cab afterwards, Bianchi like 3.5 seconds or so. And the pressure was back on. I thought I had a free gap to take it easy, but I didn't have one moment to take it easy in the race, so it was a tough one. Thank you.
Tough one, but a good one. And, you know, that's where it's not just about the speed. It's not just qualifying on pole. It's not just about being able to handle that. It's handling all the other stuff that gets dumped in your lap during a race of this length. And that's all part of the equation, Tom. You can't just be quick. You've got to be cool as well.
Yeah, there's lots to think about, isn't there? And it's a real proving and training ground, as he just carried too much speed there. That was the nature of that. And that was really his biggest mistake, so that just shows what a class effort from Freins. And you talk about man of the match, Will Stevens, 25th to 10th.
Yeah.
Now that's impressive.
That is impressive. It would have been 13th, which is impressive enough on its own, but 3 cars got taken out. And Corjus trying to go the long way round, but forcing the defensive error there from da Costa, who left the inside open. And this is the moment that Freins was talking about when Sorensen was around the outside in the final corner. And Bianchi, you just saw going through, absolutely blind in the smoke. They may have seen more from their side of it than we did, but either way, goodness me, that was a bit hard in your mouth.
It was a real Days of Thunder moment there, wasn't it? You needed a spotter calling you through that, go high, go low.
Well, the spotter, from our viewpoint, would have said, go anywhere, I have no idea. You're on your own with this one. And there's the penultimate corner, or penultimate few laps. Anton Noblitsky sort of getting stuck in the middle of that lot and getting jammed, bringing out the safety car that almost finished the race. And then one final lap of green flag racing, and Robin Freins made no mistakes on that or any other of the 30 laps to claim victory. job well done by the young Dutchman, but in the background, I'm afraid, the yellow and black car, Lucas Foresti, taking himself very rapidly off a couple of Christmas card lists, although he will probably get a big hamper from Delara because he's earning them a lot. So there is our championship, with now Robin Freins in sole lead of the series and ready to come out onto the podium. And the white shirt on the right is Gemma. She will show them out. Third place is Sam Bird. Michelin Man getting very excited. Hey, you know, it's a gig. Make the most of it. Build your part up. You know, how else do you get from being second spear carrier to being Richard III? Second for Jules Bianchi. And our race winner, Robin Freins. Well, not much happening at Zandvoort today other than rain, but for one Dutchman, nobody rained on his parade here. Where am I going? Oh no, it's a rookie on the podium. So for future reference, for any engineers who get sent up to collect the trophy, always find out first from Gemma where you're going. Victorious Robin Freins on the top step of the podium here after our first race, Formula Renault 3.5 Championship in the brand new Moscow Raceway. When I say brand new, I mean they are still building around the circuit. But it is a good-looking facility. As you might guess, I'm not going to give any prizes for guessing that it was a Hermann Tilke design circuit. He is the de facto circuit designer these days. Third place trophy handed to Sam Bird. Michelin Man, I've got to warn you, when you watch this on replay, Tom Gaymore wants your gig.
Yeah.
Tom Gaymore likes the idea of bouncing around in a big inflatable suit. Not sure what that says, but there you go.
I'm staying quiet.
Yeah, indeed. Wisely so. Jules Bianchi, Giancarlo Fisichella. Is that his role model, do you think, style-wise? You know, face fungus and all of that? Yeah. Bit D'Artagnan, bit Giancarlo Fisichella. Yeah, worked for him. And the trophy for victory handed to Robin Freins. So, Rob, I'm sure we'll be watching and enjoying that as well. So, Fortec Motorsport, the winning team. Patrice Ratti, the boss of Renault Sport Technology, handing the trophy to our Fortec representative. And quick photo op, get everybody in. And you know what? See, now, with this being a French run series, obviously by Renault, they could have, like...
Sprayed the grid girl.
Yeah, well, obviously. They could have a competence jersey, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Best improved. That would be quite good. What colour's that on the Tour de France? Is that blue?
So the drivers don't spray themselves today because they need their suit
for
tomorrow's race.
Because you can't rely on having electricity for the tumble dry. Don't forget, we're on the same time tomorrow. In theory, it starts at 1:15 local, 11:15 CET, 10:15 at British Summertime, 9:15 Greenwich Mean Time. Wherever you are, please make it out of bed and join us for more action from Moscow Raceway. Till then, from Tom Gaymore and me, Martin Haven, goodbye.